Call to order the meeting of Mayor and Council. Thank you all for being here. If you will rise for the opening invocation by Councilman Henderson.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for all things. We thank you for the very breath of life. We thank you also that we are able to gather here in celebration of a new election and new officers to serve in the city, a renewal of officers to serve in the city. We ask that these proceedings be guided by you. We ask also that you protect us and give us courage, knowledge, and wisdom to make the right decisions for the city. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Please remain standing for the pledge. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. Okay, do we have any changes to tonight's agenda?
No, sir, we do not.
Okay, as a reminder to council, we are going to have an executive session following this meeting to go over some negotiations. You've all received the minutes from our last meeting. If there are no questions or comments, I'll accept a motion to receive the minutes.
Councilman Holland, Mr. Mayor, I make that motion.
Okay, do we have a second?
Councilman McCoy, I'll
Okay.
second.
All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, it's unanimous. All right, at this time, we're going to call up Judge Mulvaney to officiate the oath of office. First, we're going to invite up Councilman Holland.
I repeat your name.
I, Orlando Holland,
Do hereby solemnly swear
do hereby solemnly swear
that I will support
that I will support
the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution and laws of the State of Delaware,
the Constitution of the State of laws of Delaware,
and the Charter for the City of Seaford,
and the Charter of the City of Seaford,
that I will, with true faith and allegiance,
that I will with true faith and allegiance
bear to the same
bear to the same,
and defend them against all enemies,
and defend them against all enemies,
and that I will faithfully and impartially discharge
that I will faithfully and
impartially discharge the duties
the duties
of the office of Councilman of the City of Seaford,
the duties of the office of councilman of the city,
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations.
Social distancing.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Mr. King? Good. Crowd around here. I state your name.
I, James King,
Do hereby solemnly swear
hereby solemnly swear
that I will support
that I will support
the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution and laws of the State of Delaware,
the Constitution and laws of the State of Delaware,
the Charter of the City of Seaford,
the Charter of the City of Seaford.
and that I will, with true faith,
I will, with true faith,
and will faithfully and impartially
faithfully and impartially
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
of the office of Councilman of the City of Seaford,
of the office of councilman for the City of Seaford,
according to my best abilities.
according to my best ability.
So help me God.
So help me God. Thank you, sir.
right, congratulations to you guys. Next, we're going to do the vote for the vice mayor. I'm going to hand out ballots. If you don't have a pen or something, let us know.
I do not.
Thank you. Thank you, Tracy. And when you're done, just pass them back down to the center. It is unanimous, and Dan Henderson will stay on as our vice mayor if he so chooses. Thank you, sir.
I accept. Thank you very much for your confidence.
I always appreciate what you do.
Thank you.
Sorry.
You're fine.
All right, for liaisons, we're going to keep everybody in the same slot for another year. And then next year, when the mayor's slot comes up, that should always be a position that the mayor appoints people when they do. So just as a reminder, as a liaison, you are expected to meet and speak with your director each and every meeting. Before the meeting, you should be the expert on that department. If anything comes up, you should know the most about it and be leading that charge to help support that department. So, all right, next we have our various committees that are on a long list of names that are up for review, that are willing to serve again. Planning and zoning and Parks and Rec will come through at the next meeting or as soon as we have those slots filled and some positions moved around. Do we need to read all these names or?
I don't
can
think
we-
you do. They stay the same, basically.
They're
We'll
basically the
just
same, yes.
Notify them.
Yep.
Yeah, that's fine. As
So
submitted.
if there are no questions or comments, I'll accept a motion on the committee appointments.
I do have one question.
Yes, sir.
I was previously a part of the Economic Development Committee, but my name is off.
No,
If-
shouldn't be. Yep, we'll add that.
I'll accept that, but I just wanted to make sure that,
That was
No.
an error, Councilman Henderson. We will get your name back on that committee.
Yes, sorry about that.
If you're willing to serve. Thank you. Good question. If there's no other questions, I'll accept the motion. To just,
I don't see a motion on the agenda.
let's,
Councilman
freehand it.
Henderson,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Mayor, I make a motion to accept the committee, the mayor's committee appointments as written with the addition of Councilman Henderson to the Economic Development Committee.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, thank you. We'll do a roll call vote. Councilman Santos?
Aye.
Councilman Henderson?
Aye.
Councilman Holland?
Aye.
Councilman McCoy?
Aye.
And Councilman King?
Aye.
Okay, it's unanimous. Okay, then we had I don't know if I'm assuming all of you are on Facebook or some sort of social media or aware that the city was doing a Seaford snapshot photo contest put on by the Seaford marketing team to get some pictures from the community to kind of update our new website that is coming. And with that, the winners will get a gift basket that has about $75 worth of local goodies and giveaways and some Seaford stuff. This is not for Councilman Holland, so I better put it right there. So the winners, the judged winners, there was a group that judged the winners. We had landscape, we had Francie Davis, activities was Brock Willie, and the people submission was by Harry Brake. And the winners from the social media for landscape was Aaron Niblett, activities was Justin Ellsworth, and the people was Kylie King. So we'll be reaching out to all those individuals and making sure they get their gift basket, but we do appreciate that. It's great to have current pictures to put on our website, and I'm sure we'll be updating this and doing this probably again. It was a good way to do it.
For account, motion does contain 165,000 even. Mr. Piner is saying that one, 115 New Street, should be 165,600.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry about that.
That's okay.
Okay, so are there any questions in regards to these changes on the tax appeal? Yes, sir. Councilman McCoy?
Just one question. In your experience, is this, I guess, normal protocol to see assessments move like this nature?
Usually not this much, but the case, and I noticed the same thing, is this one, there's a lot of square footage for with some of these buildings, especially this, the one that we were just talking about, that kind of drove the assessment up. But when you look at the income, it's nowhere near to justify the value that's on it, and that's why it's a big reduction.
Thank you.
Good question. Are there any other questions? If not, I'll accept the motion.
Just to note, we laid them out as 3 motions
You want to do them as three
by
individuals?
parcel. I would like to, just to
Okay, sure.
keep
Sure
that
thing.
straight.
So we're going to do them as individual. We'll vote on each individual parcel.
Councilman McCoy, I'll make the motion to accept the recommendation of PTA-Delval for 105 High Street, tax map parcel $400 from $177,000.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion from Councilman McCoy. Is there a second?
Councilman Holland, I second that motion.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, we'll do a roll call vote. Councilman Holland?
Aye.
Councilman McCoy?
Aye.
Councilman King?
Aye.
Councilman Henderson?
Aye.
Councilman Santos?
Aye.
Okay, it's unanimous. And then last, we have the 115 New Street. I'll
Just-
accept the motion. Yes, sir.
Just for clarification, we're using the 165,600 number?
That is correct.
Okay. Councilman McCoy, I'll make the motion to accept the recommendation of PTA-Delval for 115 New Street, tax map parcel 4-31-7.00-009.00, decreasing the assessment to $165,600 from $338,200.
Okay, we have a motion from Councilman McCoy. Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
Thank you, Councilman Santos. We'll do a roll call vote. Councilman Santos?
Aye.
Councilman Henderson?
Aye.
Councilman Holland?
Aye.
Councilman McCoy?
Aye.
Councilman King?
Aye.
It's unanimous. Mr. Bennett, thank you so much for your help on these.
Thanks,
We
sir.
really do
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, next we have the bids on the Western Sussex Business Campus on Opportunity Drive. Our Tricia Newcomer's presenting.
Oh, good evening. How are
Good
you?
evening.
Good evening.
On April 30th, we received bids for Opportunity Drive, as you know, which is the main road coming into the Western Sussex Business Campus. We received 3 bids. Our city engineer reviewed those bids. Chris Derbyshire, he's here, and Ben Hearn were both here. They reviewed those bids to make sure that they're the accuracy, that they are the way that we had spec'd them out. And so in review of that, the recommendation is to award it to George and Lynch. And you notice that there's 3 different pieces there. There's the base bid, Part C, which is Commerce Run, and Part D, which is the Opportunity Drive Extension. And we bid it that way just because we wanted to be able to break out some of the things. Per our contract with KRM, we have to do the base bid and Part C. So we are recommending to just do those 2 items in the amount of $2,414,220.62.
Okay, are there any questions in regards to the bid for Opportunity Drive? Kind of feel like there should be a question when we're voting on a bid for $2.4 million, but if everybody's been up to speed on this, that's good. All right, if there's no questions or comments, I'll accept the motion.
All right, Mr. Mayor, Councilman King, I will make the motion to award the bid for Western Sussex Business Campus Opportunity Drive to George and Lynch in the amount of $2,414,220.62 with funding provided by Sussex County, City of Seaford Water Reserves, Sewer Reserves, and Land Sale Proceeds Reserves accounts as presented.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Councilman McCoy, I'll second.
Okay, thank you. We'll do a roll call vote. Councilman King?
Aye.
Councilman McCoy?
Aye.
Councilman Holland?
Aye.
Councilman Henderson?
Aye.
And Councilman Santos.
Aye.
Okay, thank you very much.
And you will see a second bid come through in another couple weeks, which is the work that needs to be done out on Herring Run Road. Those are 2 different contracts.
Just to point out on funding, it's important to note that where we're making up the difference from where Sussex County is offering to donate towards this project is the reserves, and that's why it's critical we keep those up. And so, thank you for your work on that, Charles and Tricia. All right, next we have the administration proposal.
So with that contract, we are recommending to go and have GMB do the construction administrative services, which their quote was for $39,471, with the additional option of inspection services, not full-time, but part-time inspection services from the day-to-day in the amount of $106,661.
Okay, are there any questions to the administration proposal? If not, I'll accept the motion.
Councilman Holland, Mr. Mayor, I make the motion to approve the limited construction administration proposal from George Miles Burr and Burr for Western Sussex Business Campus, Opportunity Drive construction to include on-site inspection services, option 1, in the total amount of $106,671 as presented.
Okay, we have a motion from Councilman Holman. Is there a second?
Councilman King, I'll second that.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, we'll do a roll call vote. Councilman Holland?
Aye.
Councilman McCoy?
Aye.
Councilman King?
Aye.
Councilman Henderson?
Aye.
And Councilman Santos?
Aye.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, I do want to point out, now that we have that approved, just to kind of cap that all up for everyone, as you know, we do have the funding commitment, the $1.88 million from Sussex County, and as the mayor mentioned, these are water, sewer, and land sale proceeds is where those monies are coming from. Just for this segment, this is included with the $101,444 that you approved at the last council meeting for Chesapeake Utilities. You'll see engineering estimate and round about $20,000. We believe that that's where that may come in addition to this. So our portion in this first contract is $762,335.62 that the city is putting towards this project. So it's just important to make sure that everyone
And
is
also,
aware.
just to keep the total picture in front of you, we're probably
Correct.
looking at closer to $8 million to complete this park. In today's numbers, it may grow to something else beyond, but again, we're counting on this park providing lots of jobs to the people of Seaford and Western Sussex, so
Thank you.
great opportunity. Thank you,
Good
Tricia.
job, Trish.
All right, next we have the bids on the equipment racks. Oh, Katie's doing it.
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Evening, Katie.
On May 5th, we received one bid from Sean Williams, who is the organizer for the Seaford Elite Youth Tackle Football Team in Seaford. He submitted a bid for $150, which is what our minimum bid was. And we have not used these football racks for several years. They have just been sitting in storage, and they are in, Sean did reach out to me prior to this bid, interested in them. So it is my recommendation that we give the bid to Sean Williams.
Okay, are there any questions in regards to the bids on the equipment racks? If not, I'll accept the motion.
Councilman Holland, Mr. Mayor, I make the motion to award the equipment racks bid to Sean Williams in the amount of $150 as presented.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Councilman McCoy, I'll second.
Okay, we'll do a roll call vote. Councilman Holland?
Aye.
Councilman McCoy?
Aye.
Councilman King?
Aye.
Councilman Santos?
Aye.
Councilman Henderson?
Aye.
Thank
It's
you.
unanimous. Thank you, Katie.
Thank you.
All right. Next, we have the Sussex Conservation District.
All right, council has in their package a memorandum of agreement with Sussex Conservation District. And just a little bit of background on this. The Director of Public Works and I, as council is well aware, have been working on our MS4 permit, our municipal separate storm sewer permit. And in anticipation of that, one of the things that has to be done and has to be formalized is post-construction inspection and construction inspection for stormwater management on when they build houses or they build developments or commercial buildings. The Sussex Conservation District goes out, they do the inspections, they review the plans in advance, and actually issue a permit under most circumstances. This has to be formalized now, moving into our new MS4 permit. So they've done it since, I believe, they started their construction inspections back in '93 is when they started, and we've always deferred to the Conservation District. The reason for formalizing this is because we need to show proof to DENREC through our memorandum of agreement that this function is being provided for and by who contractually. So staff has reviewed it. We would recommend council authorizing us to enter into this memorandum of agreement. There'll be no change really to the development community or the building official or anything like that, as these services are already occurring.
Okay, are there any questions or comments on the agreement? Yes, Councilman Henderson.
So Charles, as MS4 rolls out, well, first off, let me ask you, what is the length of the term of post-construction?
It depends, because some commercial projects or developments, things like that, they do a follow-up one-year inspection to make sure the BMPs that were installed are still in good shape, haven't eroded or anything like that. But on a typical home installation, they get involved very little, but it might only be till the CO is issued, till grass is growing.
Okay, so if, to what, and this is, you know, MS4 is like an onion. There's a layer, and you take it off, and there's another
Yes, sir.
layer. But what happens, like, for management purposes and maintenance of these structures and all of this that we're going to undertake? Is that a city responsibility, or are we in partnership with the Soil Conservation District? How does that work?
Okay, it's a mixed bag. So what we try to do when we review plans, so commercial structures, when it's on a property like a commercial business, they have a stormwater management pond and a network of piping. That is the property owner's responsibility. If we have an arrangement where there's a homeowners association, what we try to do is make sure that that is covered in the HOA documents or otherwise covered the long-term maintenance of those stormwater management ponds and other facilities. The only way we would maintain it, there's a couple ways, I guess, if they would ask the city to accept dedication of that. And traditionally, we have not done that with stormwater. We do maintain city stormwater systems, and traditionally what developers do is try to interconnect with our system. So in a case like that, we have our city engineers review the discharge, make sure we don't cause any downstream flooding or any ill effects to our system. So it could be a hybrid where on their property, they have their limits of responsibility, and then, you know, our Director of Public Works and his staff would maintain the city's stormwater management system where they, from the point of interconnection and handoff.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions from council? If not, I'll accept a motion.
Councilman Henderson. Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve the memorandum of agreement between the City of Seaford and the Sussex Conservation District for responsibilities relating to construction and post-construction stormwater management as presented.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, thank you. We'll do a roll call vote. Councilman Henderson?
Aye.
Councilman Santos?
Aye.
Councilman Holland?
Aye.
Councilman McCoy?
Aye.
Councilman King?
Aye.
Okay, it's unanimous. All right, next we're going to invite the Director of Public Works up to talk about the septic rate.
Don't touch the machine.
Good evening.
Evening.
So we've been talking about for a few years now about raising our septic rates for receiving septic at the facility. This year, with the additional flow from Bridgeville and Greenwood, and the increased amount of septic that's being delivered to us, we thought that now is the time to raise the rates. We're not necessarily raising the rates to add revenue. We're kind of we are hoping that, quite honestly, that by raising the rates, it'll reduce the amount of septic, quite honestly, that's delivered to us. Last time we raised rates was in 2009, and when we did that, we saw a decrease in the amount of septic being delivered to us. This is kind of the first step on trying to reduce how much septic we receive. The alternative basically is just to tell people they can't deliver it anymore. So we still want to be a place where they can do business with and bring to us. We just need to limit kind of how much they're bringing. So, you know, we typically get about 2.5 million gallons a year. We're already at 4 million gallons this year. So what that does is septic is 10 to 12 times stronger than the domestic sewage. So last week in the budget meeting, we talked about hydraulic loading versus just like biological loading of the plant. That's a biological loading on the plant. So it takes up capacity that we need for other things, so. So my recommendation is to go from 6.5 cents a gallon to 7.5 cents a gallon.
Okay, are there any questions regarding the increased rate on septic? Councilman Henderson.
Couple of questions, Burley. Is the rate calculated differently for leachate?
For who? I'm
For
sorry.
leachate?
Yes. Yeah, we have a standing contract.
Oh, okay, so, in all of the designs for, in all of the designs for upgrades in the future, is there any kind of plan for like flow equalization of the septage to try to minimize the hydraulic load?
Yep, so in what's already budgeted for this year for the design of the Headworks project that you might remember me talking about, there is a leachate receiving station included in that, which is a tank, pumps, metering pump, all meter, so we could, because right now we currently don't meter how it's delivered to us, all those things, so we can then meter it and dose it into our Headworks at any rate we would desire.
And if I could, one more question. How does the 7.5 cents a gallon compare to competition, so to speak?
Yep, it brings it up to what the rate is comparable to other places.
So it doesn't necessarily make it prohibitive for these haulers to come, it's just a matter of distance or convenience at that point rather than being cheap.
Correct. One reason they typically don't like to come to us is because we don't have a meter that meters it, so we charge by the truckload. So if your truck has a capacity of 2,000 gallons, we charge you for 2,000 gallons, no matter if you have 1,000 or not, because we can't meter or know exactly how much you bring. So they try to fill their truck up before they bring it to us, which sometimes is an inconvenience for
Right.
them. So.
Thank you.
Okay, good questions. Any other questions? Councilman McCoy?
A couple questions. One for clarification purposes for the council and the public. When you say to date this year, you guys operate on a calendar year, or when does your year begin?
These numbers are calendar year.
Okay. What number hypothetically is like a large problem? You say we're on average to get to 4 million, but 5 million, 6 million, like what's a number where it's like it's almost unsustainable?
Well, 2.5 million of what we've been receiving, is probably the max of where we want to go.
Okay.
It's going to come a time where we're going to have to even take less than that, probably.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions for the director? Okay, thank you, Burley. If not, I'll accept the motion.
All right, Mr. Mayor, Councilman King, I will make the motion to accept the recommendation of the Director of Public Works to increase the septic receiving rate at Seaford wastewater treatment facility to .075 a gallon as presented.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Councilman Holland, Mr. Mayor, I second that
Okay,
motion.
thank you very much. We'll do a roll call vote. Councilman King?
Aye.
Councilman McCoy?
Aye.
Councilman Holland?
Aye.
Councilman Henderson?
All right.
Councilman Santos?
Aye.
Okay, it's unanimous. Thanks, Burley, for your work on that. All right, next we have the request for proposals from the Audit Committee. Is Director Merritt.
Good evening.
Good evening.
We sent out requests for proposals for audit services for the fiscal years ending June 30th, 2021 through 2025. And we sent 7 proposals out. We received back 3 responses. And out of those 3 responses, we met as a group and we rated those responses. Each one of them were very professional responses. They were all good quality candidates. But through the ranking process, 2 of them scored the same with the average score of 88.3. And one of those was our incumbent, SB & Company, which is our current auditor. And they've been with us for the last 5 years. But anyway, based on those responses and on our scoring, SB & Company had the lowest audit fee for those 5 years, and that's in the amount of $104,750 for the 5-year total. And so with that information, we're pleased with their services. We've had a good working relationship with them. So we're recommending that we award the contract for audit services to SBN Company.
Okay, are there any questions on the recommendation? If not, I'll accept the motion.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to accept the recommendation from the Audit Committee and enter a contract with the firm of SBN Company LLC for city audit services as presented.
Okay, we have a motion from Councilman Santos. Is there a second?
Councilman Holland, Mr. Mayor, I second that motion.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll do a roll call vote. Councilman Santos?
Aye.
Councilman Henderson?
Aye.
Councilman Holland?
Aye.
Councilman McCoy?
Aye.
Councilman King?
Aye.
It's unanimous.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
June. All right, next we'll call up Chief of Police with some parking restrictions.
Good evening.
Good evening, Chief.
So I think everyone in the board pack has a memorandum that I sent in with some information regarding the recommendation to change the parking on the north side of Collins Avenue, which is highlighted here to my left on the screen in blue, from the current 10 p.m. to sunrise to sunset to sunrise, which would be consistent with the park. In the past year, we've been experiencing a large volume of life safety issues as well as quality of life issues, from shots fired as recent as Wednesday, May 28th, where 15 rounds were shot in the area of Purnell Street and Collins Avenue, to as recent as today, down North as well as on Cannon, 2 different houses. And so when we did a heat map, I don't think we put that up on the board, but we have a considerable amount of these different types of crimes, from weapons, shootings, assaults, drugs, fights, large crowds, noise, loitering, trash, and the folks that live on the south side of Collins Avenue, unfortunately, are the ones that are having to tolerate that. And so I think it's time that we start to do something to try to limit some of that activity. Now, that's not going to fix the problem, quite frankly, because we have a major problem down North Street, too, that's got to be addressed. But it's a start. And we're going to be working with residents in the area to come up with different ideas for different things that might help with some additional parking concerns. But I think this is a great place for us to start to limit that parking on the north side. And I'm open for any questions.
Are there any questions from council on this restriction of parking? Councilman King?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Chief, before you made this recommendation, was there any conversation with community members to see if this would impact them at all?
Yes, sir. We sent out a letter, which is in your board pack as well, and I know that you probably want that out to the public. We did send a letter out to all the residences right down Collins Avenue, and not everyone responded, but the ones that did respond were in favor of it. Also had conversations with pastors in that community from the surrounding area, from Clarence Street on up to Collins and North Street over, and everyone was in agreement that it would probably help. And not only that, but it's when you have a large crowd, it's better if you can get to folks to try to get folks to move along before things get heated, because it usually occurs around 7:30, 8 o'clock at night, right around sunset when things start to happen. And it's more safer for the community, and it's safer for the officers to be able to see what's going on and try to have people move along before things get out of control.
Yep.
And not one person was against it, so
Right.
that's a good question.
Good. And the follow-up question I have is signage. So when is this going to go into effect? And when it does go into effect, is there signage that's going to be placed out there to reflect this change?
Yeah, there's current signs that are posted that say 10 p.m. to sunrise. And so the idea would be, if council approves this motion, to work with Public Works to get the new signs and to get them up as quickly as possible.
Awesome. Thank you, Chief.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it.
Okay, any other questions from council?
Yes.
Councilman Henderson?
It's not on the map, but to the east, you got some residents on the north side of Collins Avenue, and then there's a residence in kind of an island on the south side.
Thomas Street?
Past Thomas Street, to the east of Thomas
Yeah.
Street. And I know we've discussed, and some constituents, some residents have discussed alternative methods, I mean, of controlling parking, but I'm just concerned that this is just going to push them eastward.
That's what I said a while ago. This is no different than when you're doing high proactive work on a corner that's a problem. It pushes it to the next corner. We obviously, we have taken that into consideration. And we know that we're going to have resources in place to try to prevent that. There is some recommendations, some discussions that we've had, right, that we probably will come back to council with. I'm not sure how popular that's going to be. That's why I think we need to have some more conversations, similar to what Dover and Wilmington are doing currently in some high crime areas. Obviously, these recommendations that we'll talk about are only going to impact areas that have high crime and where parking seems to be the issue with large crowds. And we have it on North Street, and it's going to get worse probably. And I'm sure that there could be more congregation on the south side, as well as wrapping right around to Purnell Street and so on. So, yeah, these are all considerations. So no matter what you do, you're only making it better temporarily in one area. It's going to displace it. And we have to come up with some proactive means, whether it's cameras, which, quite frankly, my goal is to have every single high crime area we have in this city to be under 24-hour fixed camera watch. I'll make that public right now, and I really think that that's the way to go in these high crime areas. Put it on lockdown. Public needs to know that everything is under camera. We're not at that stage yet, but I think that's where we have to be. And we may very well have to go to some sort of a restricted parking in other areas for residences that live there. If you don't live there, you can't park there.
Right.
That might be
The residents deserve
an
that,
issue.
Chief. They deserve that. Councilman Henderson?
I would like to make a remark on the 29th. I attempted to meet with a constituent on Collins Avenue, and I couldn't get through. I mean, the traffic was so tight, and there were so many people that I couldn't drive through. So I appreciate everything you're doing to try to help the residents there. They're really, I don't want to, well, I'll say they're desperate for some sort of solution.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, it's a lack of respect, right? We have folks that live in the community that are hardworking, decent people, 99.9%. And I'll say it here, and I hope the folks are listening, quite frankly. It's a lack of respect, and if they want attention, they're about to get an awful lot of attention. I'll just put it out there.
Amen.
Because the tolerance level is stretched thin right now.
Right.
Folks are in danger, and the stuff that happened today, and what happened back on the 28th and last year is not acceptable. And I think we need to pull out all stops, and it's going to cost the city some money. We've already passed for council, I believe, or had conversations to put cameras in certain areas, and I don't think it's enough. I think we're going to need to do more before it's over. And resources, and we're doing it. We're putting resources there now, but that's getting ready to probably double, just to do what we got to do.
Okay. If there's no other questions in regards to this restricting parking, I'll accept the motion.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to accept the parking recommendation from the Chief of Police to restrict parking from sunset to sunrise on the north side of portions of Collins Avenue adjacent to Nutter Park as presented.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
I yield to Councilman Santos.
I'll second that, Mayor.
Okay, thank you very much. Do a roll call vote. Councilman Henderson?
Aye.
Councilman Santos?
Aye.
Councilman Holland?
Aye.
Councilman McCoy?
Aye.
Councilman King?
Aye.
That's unanimous, Chief. You
Have a
got our
great
support. Thank you. All right, next we have changes to the employee handbook.
Okay, so tonight I would like to discuss with council changes to section 2-73 of the employee handbook, which details city work week. And the genesis of all this was, this has been a long-standing thing with utility employees throughout the city. Several years ago, this came forward to the former city manager about wanting to extend summer hours. And as council is well aware, you know, from Memorial Day to Labor Day, everybody works 7 to 4. There's a desire by a lot of the crews and even a lot of, I'll say general employees, to want to extend that 7 to 4 time. They like the work day, the meetings we've had, they like to be able to get home a little earlier, do some things in the evening, so on and so forth. So a request came forward to take a look at that and modify those work hours, as we have considered in the past. We got together as a leadership team, the directors, the supervisors, and myself, and we discussed what we could do, what we couldn't do. And I will tell you that our biggest overarching concern was communicating to the public clearly and concisely what our hours are. We do not want to confuse anyone about when City Hall is open, when payments can be made. So that was a huge issue for us. We do feel confident through social media pushes, through things like this, we can get the information out if council decides to move this way. You know, we will work on that public campaign. We also had some issues with, there are some employees that obviously have daycare issues, things of that nature. You'll see in your package, along with the recommended changes or suggested changes, that would extend the work hours 7 to 4 from May 1st through September 30th. What we also did, we went out, HR did a survey of all the employees that are not on shift, so this does not include the call center or the police department personnel. And you'll see there were 3 options. Basically, option 1, maintaining as is, and there were only 5 employees who wanted to stay with that, or 11.6%. And then basically it fell down to the final 2 choices, which was go to 7:30 to 4:30 year-round, or to extend the summertime work hours from May 1st through September 30th. So it was basically 18 to 20 of the remaining employees there. The leadership team felt like modifying that was the least disruptive to the employees, certainly the least disruptive to our public, because we already do the summer hours. So we felt it was manageable, and we did, because the employees desire this, we decided we would bring it to council for their consideration.
Okay, what questions does council have in regards to this change? Councilman King?
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So Charles, I see a 9-hour scheduled day. So do they take hour lunches?
They
Half
do.
an hour lunches?
Yeah, well, no, our regular work schedule is an hour lunch, and we actually provide 2 15-minute paid breaks during the day for each department. That wiggles a little bit, I think, and the Director of Public Works or Director of Electric can help us. During the summertime when we shift, I think they do like a half hour in the morning and not the afternoon, because the afternoon's shorter. But that's our work rules, is we do provide 2 15-minute breaks a day and an hour lunch.
Okay. Any other questions from council? If there are no other questions and someone would like the motion, I'll receive it.
Mr. Mayor, I would like to make a motion to accept the changes to Section 2-73 of the Employee Handbook, work week, and revise the non-shift worker city work hours to 7 a.m. - 4 p.m., May 1 through September 30th, as presented.
Okay, we have a motion from Councilman Santos. Is there a second?
Councilman Henderson, I second.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll do a roll call vote. Councilman Santos?
Aye.
Councilman Henderson?
Aye.
Councilman Holland?
Aye.
Councilman McCoy?
Aye.
Councilman King?
Aye.
Okay, it's unanimous. Thank you. All right,
Thank you.
old business. We have the purchase of the Delmarva Powers. Director of Electric going to do that. All right,
Director Bennett's coming.
last on the agenda.
Good evening. Upon annexing 22512 Sussex Highway to Sunrise Motel, the city contacted Delmarva Power to the cost of buying out the service. They attached a gross revenue estimate and reconfiguration estimate of $34,828.06. That has to be paid to Delmarva Power in accordance with our customer transfer agreement. Additionally, I did an estimate, a different estimate, instead of going to overhead up north on the southbound lane to go underground to extend our service. To do it that way, we would set a pole on the east side of Route 13, a riser pole for 2 6-inch conduits underneath Sussex Highway. The 6-inch isn't needed right now, but that would give you the capability to loop feed with 750 if you ever needed to later. We would set a switch cabinet in front of Sunrise Motel, and then put 4-inch underground back to where their new transformer would go. That estimate is $61,725.08. So that would be a total of $96,553.14 to buy out Delmarva Power and extend our service. So this time I would recommend this customer acquisition from Delmarva Power.
Okay, are there any questions regarding buying the power service to the Sussex Motel, Sunrise Motel from Delmarva Power? Councilman King?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So, Mr. Bennett, for the people that don't understand, can you elaborate a little bit on what that means, buying out the power? So can you explain, like, why you give them a check for $35,000, kind of like what that looks like?
Well, currently they're served by Delmarva Power. When they're annexed, we have the right, because it's our territory, to supply electric to them. So if there's an existing building there and it's gonna stay there, they have a formula for their loss of revenue over so many years. And the reconfiguration is what we have to pay them to go in and take their equipment out of there. It's a formula that's in our agreement with Delmarva Power. So you give them the address, they give us a printout. It was in your board pack.
Yep.
That shows what they use, what their projection of income, loss of income is, and then their cost for taking their stuff out, their equipment out. And, then it's your decision whether you want to make that purchase or not. If the existing building is going to be torn down, or if it's an empty lot, there's no cost. But being it's existing customer, that's that's the cost of getting that service at this time.
Yeah, thank you.
And if you don't do it now, and they did the addition, and you wanted to do it after the addition was there, because their usage is gonna be higher, the acquisition cost is gonna be higher.
Thank you. Other questions, Councilman Henderson?
Bill, I appreciate you taking a second look at it, I really do. And in addition to the $34,000, the other construction costs that you put forward, I just want to stress, or I want to make sure that I fully understand that that's not the true cost to bring the service to the motel, because we're planning ahead for other infrastructure by adding other things to it, so that the $96,000 cost isn't the whole cost. There's other costs that are not really attributable to the hotel.
Yeah, because right now, we're just gonna pull one alt cable through there, because that's all you need at this time. But yes, by going with the 6-inch conduit under the highway, you can pull 750 MCM underground through there. So like I said later, if you needed a loop feed, either north or south on the highway, or go straight through and go to the other side of Bridgeville Highway, you would have enough conductor there to carry the load and do that.
And what would that be it wouldn't be a new circuit, but what circuit would that be on?
That would come off of 310.
310. Thank you very much.
Planning for the future. Councilman Santos?
Yeah, are there any properties besides the Sunrise Motel that are within the city limits, and the city that didn't purchase, the power from the
Properties
from,
that have, are you
Delmarva
asking if
Power.
there's properties that have annexed that we did not purchase them out?
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think, I mean, we've done this recently. Director Bennett recommended, and I believe we looked back, it was 2019. We bought out the old Mike Hall Fitness Center. There's going to be some people that might not remember that.
That was
But
2017.
2017.
And then, on Middle Ford Road, the property, Bob Boyd bought,
12
Right.
and 12.
Yeah.
Yeah.
the old employee council building. We bought that out. We bought out the service where the Montessori school is. We bought that one out. I don't know,
I mean, there are probably some that we've annexed to that,
Yeah, are there any properties that aren't being served yet?
So it's typically the intent when the city annexes a property, then we would then provide all the services to that property.
we try, we take a hard look at it. I do think we had the opportunity we looked at Huber some time ago, and we made the decision due to cost not to do that. Am I correct on that one?
yards, yes.
Yeah, I mean, that was a large service, a large commercial service, and I think at that point in time, the decision was not to proceed with that. But traditionally, as the mayor stated, we do try to look at it, and our ultimate goal over time is to infill these enclaves and provide them with water, sewer, electric, city services. I don't know if that helps, Councilman.
And are there many properties within the city limits that aren't served by the City of Seaford Electric Department?
I mean, not a lot. There's a few.
There's a few behind Dunkin' Donuts on North Front Street Extended.
Mhm.
There's some there.
There's a couple on Bridgeville Highway, if I remember
And
correctly.
a couple on Bridgeville Highway that aren't
Yeah.
on City Electric. And those houses right now aren't in the city limits.
Right,
Right.
they're in the county.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're in the county.
Councilman Henderson?
And just for Councilman Santos, there are properties that are not annexed into the city that are served by city electric. So
Okay,
there is a mix.
Yep.
thank you.
Does that help?
Okay, any other questions for Director Bennett? If not, I'll accept the motion.
Councilman McCoy, I'll make the motion to expend $34,828.06 to purchase from DeMarfa Power the electrical service for the property located at 22512 Sussex Highway, Sunrise Motel, as presented.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Councilman King, I'll second that.
Okay, thank you very much. Do a roll call vote. Councilman McCoy?
Aye.
Councilman King?
Aye.
Councilman Holland?
Aye.
Councilman Henderson?
Aye.
Councilman Santos?
Aye.
Okay, it's unanimous. Thanks,
Thank you.
Bill. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, reminder of meetings.
Yes, sir. This week is cleanup week, May 10th through the 14th. Our Public Works Department, with a lot of help from other departments, are out there. It's for residential households only. If you have any questions about it, our website is very good about what we'll pick up during the week. Budget workshop meeting at City Hall next Tuesday, May 18th, from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. The Police Chiefs Advisory Board meeting is May 20th here at City Hall at 7 p.m. And then just a reminder for the Mayor's Right Choice Awards, applications are available and due by Friday, May 21st here at City Hall. So if you have any questions about that, please contact us here at City Hall. We'll help you. Now,
And also, a future thing, we want to make sure everybody gets on their calendar is June 17th. We're going to do a trip over to the EOC. I think all of you received an invite for a little tour and update on how our 911 service calls are being handled and our performance there. So I think it's a valuable trip, and we're also going to invite the Police Advisory Committee to attend. Also, before we start committee reports, do want to say thank you to the team, Tracy leading it on the National Day of Prayer. We had a great turnout. She did a great job. And also want to thank Tricia for putting together our presentation for the Kiwanis Club, and they really appreciated that, and appreciate you and Charles going and doing your part. It's good. So, all right, we'll start with committee reports. We'll start with Police and Fire. Councilman Henderson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There is a comprehensive report, and I will hit some of the highlights, starting with Chief Wilson's report from the Seaford Volunteer Fire Department. Under alarms to date with fire calls, we have 292 as of the 10th of May, 78 calls for the April alone. You'll see the averages there. We have 25 calls for May so far. You take a look, we had 78 calls for the entire month of May and 25 just so far in May. So May's been a busy month for the department. Under EMS calls, there are 1,287 calls year to date, 269 calls for April, and 79 calls for May so far. That's a total of 1,579 calls for 2021 so far, for an average of 12.1 calls per day. We are rapidly approaching being the busiest department in the county. We are behind Lewis for total calls, just a little bit. They have a very large area, plus a somewhat metropolitan area. So, you know, we are hauling the mail, so to speak. You'll see a list of significant calls. There's been a lot of structure fires. It is. You'll see that there's a half a dozen or more structure fires since the 27th of April to date. Under apparatus, all units are currently in service, and Tower 87 has completed its testing, and the unit was certified on the 28th of April. Under EMS, they're still interviewing for a full-time position. The ambulance B87 is still online at the factory, and they're expecting a summer delivery. New ballistic vests are ordered for EMS and fire police personnel. You'll see the training that's taking place and what will be taking place. And you'll see that the department's been very busy with community activities, most especially their involvement in honoring Corporal Hecook of the Delmar Police Department. Under the Seaford Police Department, we have a report by Chief Kraft. I will advise you that this is a shortened period. His report only goes to May 6th because of the department's activities with Corporal Hecook's funeral. So I'll advise you in advance that this is a shortened period, and the next period will be longer. So some of the numbers will not especially jive up. So just take that when you evaluate the numbers. Just take into consideration that it's not a full period. So under criminal, there were 161 total complaints, and you'll see the distribution between felony, misdemeanor, violation, civil, and other, with an 84% clearance rate. There are a total of 18 complaints consisting of assault, aggravated assault, burglary, and larceny. You'll see those numbers. And under the crime view, you'll be able to see the distribution of those crimes or reports, pardon me, by day of week and by time of day. There were 12 drug complaints, and you'll see the distribution there. 190 traffic contacts, resulting in 63 citations and 25 warnings. Two DUIs, 15 crashes. Unfortunately, there was one of those was an injury accident. Under significant events, you'll see he has listed the most significant events. This is by far not all of them, but you'll see these half a dozen or so significant events that are posted. And the administration has been busy doing their functions. The training event was canceled due to the busyness of the department with other tasks this period, but they'll get back on it soon. And I will close by saying that on May 10th, the Seaford Police Department was well represented at the funeral service for Corporal Keith Hecook of the Del Mar Police Department. Corporal Hecook succumbed to severe injuries he received while responding in the line of duty. My prayers are with his family, friends, and his brothers and sisters in blue. And that concludes my report.
Thank you much, Councilman Henderson. Next, we'll have Administration IT, Councilman Santos.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My report has been submitted in its entirety. So Charles met with Clay Sneed regarding producing a film series at various Seaford locations. Should be interesting. Completed staff review. They completed staff review of draft chapters 1 and 2 for the comprehensive plan update. They met with the representatives of bioenergy facilities out of Blades regarding potential waste disposal contract. They participated in the groundman interviews, and for the IT report, they worked on prep work, light installations for the panoramic PTZ camera at the sports complex, and they worked on server issues regarding ISP and firewall. They're still negotiating with the police department Teamsters, and there's a meeting scheduled for May 17th. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, we'll go to Codes, Parks and Rec, Councilman Holland.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So, Parks and Recs, we are prepping for the Riverfest Logistics and assisted with distribution of funds for the car show, and they assisted with the National Day of Prayer, and they have printed and emailed flyers for the new youth pickleball clinic. They have 2 registered so far, and they're set to begin May the 18th. And that concludes for Parks and Rec, and we'll switch to Code. They're assisting with cleanup week, and 232 permits issued so far. Plumbing installed at Wawa's, and steel is being delivered. And the first 2 building footers have been installed at Melanie Ridge. That concludes my report.
Thank you very much. Next, we have Electric, Councilman McCoy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll hit a few highlights of the report. Since the last report, the crew has started to work out there at Wawa. Worked on the lights outside of the utility building. In regards to our director, had a standard director's meeting, as well as a staff meeting and our council liaison meeting with Charles and myself in June as well to go over to the FY22 budget. Worked on the estimate for buying out the service at Sunrise Motel, I mentioned earlier this evening, and had 4 interviews for the groundman position, and had a staff budget meeting as well. Over the upcoming weeks, going to help Public Works with cleanup week, continue to work in Muirfield 1 Phase 2B so they can continue building, and add a second transformer at Eastern Shore Metals. They're also going to work with the school on the lights in front of Central Elementary School. A few of the highlights, the report's been submitted in its entirety.
Okay, thank you very much. And finally, we have Wastewater, Public Works, Councilman King.
Hey, thank you, Mr. Mayor. My report's been submitted in its entirety. I'm just going to hit some of the highlights. As we alluded to, cleanup week has started, and all hands are on deck. So they're busy to begin with, and throw that in, they're extremely busy. So we appreciate the hard work there. They had an emergency repair, collapse of a store drain on Front Street on the hill. They replaced the water service to High Street Bridge. They installed new services to East Poplar properties. They installed Phillip Street water service as well. The work continues on the fire department roof drainage. I'm going to jump over to the wastewater treatment facility. They are receiving all flow now from Bridgeville and Greenwood. Plant performance remains good. Some of the things that are happening, as we alluded to, cleanup week, the paving of the Seaford Police Department parking lot, paving of Venture Drive. They have to repair a water leak on Cannon, and they're going to paint curbs and just continue to work on fire hydrants. And with that, Mr. Mayor, that concludes my report.
Okay, thank you very much. We do want to thank all the employees. I know this has been a busy time, and then you had cleanup week on top of it. It just gets intense, so appreciate all your work. With that, I'll accept a motion to go into executive session.
Mr. Mayor, Councilman McCoy, I'll make that motion.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Councilman King, I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, unanimous. Thanks. Good night.